Hi, Katie. Okay, I appreciate this writing. This is great. I'm so impressed. I love it that students are really going out of their way to use industry specific language in their written rationale. Um, this points to your understanding that being able to
It's
talk the
6
talk is a big part
o'clock.
of design. Being able to, we're in a field of communication, so being able to expeditiously communicate is of paramount importance and will be throughout your career. So to see you using industry specific language, it's fantastic. You're using words like contrast and other words that are indicative of the elements and principles of design. So I think that's fantastic. Please keep that up, not only in this class, but in your other classes. This is really good stuff. Okay, and I love this description right here. Um, uh, uh, the lighthearted text and the text within the embroidery work well together, or if they feel a bit schizophrenic. That's just a great way of describing. I knew exactly what you were talking about, so effective, right? All right, gosh, you know what I haven't done? I was so busy reading your work, I haven't downloaded the work, so let's go ahead and do that right now. Oh, one thing I do want to recommend is okay. All right. So, oh, this is an incorrect term, font face. The correct term there would be typeface. Font face, a font is basically the version of the typeface is the whole family. So you have universe, you have condensed, black, ultra light, light, oblique, italic, etc., etc. Right? That's the typeface. That's the typeface. The font is the individual, like if you use Universe Bold, for example, that's the font. Okay, so theoretically, there's no such thing as a font face. There's such thing as a font and a typeface, but not a font face. And I don't want to sound here like I'm correcting you. I just want to share that um, for your edification. So in the future, you understand the differences in those that terminology. Okay, but where do we go from here? Let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, color palette. One of the things, let me see. I just wanted to jump to that image. Okay, that's where the color palette came from, right? Sorry, I've got this. Yep, that's where the color palette came from. Good choice. Good choice. This is something I can sink my teeth into. You're giving me colors and you're giving me a reason for those color choices. That's good stuff. That flies. Not having a reason for your color choices doesn't fly and it never will. For example, if you are in an interview, let's say, and you're showing your portfolio, and there's a potential hiring professional interviewing you, right? And they ask you a question on one of your pieces. So, what is the meaning behind the color choices you've used in this project? If you don't have an answer, I would say the probability of a second interview are probably close to nil. Same thing with your typeface choices. Know your own work. Be able to answer questions on your own work. Why did you use this color? Boom, here's your answer. Okay, why did you use this typeface? Well, this typeface is so and so. The reason I chose this particular font is, and then that is going to be impressive. I know I'm super impressed, and I purposely ask students questions during interview and portfolio, and even in my studio when I'm hiring or interviewing a potential designer or a an intern, or if I'm farming out work, I ask questions. I ask specific questions like, what typeface is this, and why did you use it? And if they don't have an answer, it doesn't it's not a good situation. So this is good stuff here. All right. So in a really long-winded way, that's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting as well. We talked about this of kind of her rising out of pretty much nowhere and her voice getting stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where she's not going to be silenced. Even attempts on her life never silenced her. So I'm not sure about the monochromatic here. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I mean, this might be super obvious, But I think a red color here. Red is going to indicate two things. Number one, it's a color that's associated with danger, and we very much know that she has placed herself in dangerous situations throughout her activist her dealings and as a public speaker and a public figure, a champion of education, as it were, right? So that's interesting. I don't think that black is working. This I'm curious about because you've added texture, which is very interesting. I don't know where that texture came from. Did you address that in your writing? I'm starting to lose my place here. Text with the embroidery. Okay, let me see. So you did address the embroidery. Oh, you had a problem with a custom brush. That's okay. Practice. It's really super easy. And presumably you're using Illustrator, right? Okay, so I guess the light and text and the text with the embroidery work well together, or if they're a bit schizophrenic. No, not at all. I think they work very nicely. Now, I mean, I would go ahead and put this embroidery. Now, I guess my question is, what is the significance of the embroidery? Is that from the image as well? And this is okay. Hard to say. Hard to say. I'm seeing parts of it here, but I'm wondering if the embroidery is again from the outfit that she's wearing. I think it's interesting. It adds a wonderful texture. I would carry it through to the front though and carry through that fade, as we say. You may even consider adding that kind of a red color overlay on that effect right there as well, as we talked about earlier. Okay, so yeah, boy, you've given a lot to look at here. And I think you're definitely in the right direction. Thanks so much for including your color choices. So, yeah, I think this is your solution right here. Now, again, think about all of the things that we've talked about throughout the weeks. And one of the things I'm seeing here is that this is placed in the center. And what do we know about center placement? We know that it does very little to activate the negative space, the surrounding negative space, or the counter space associated with the surrounding area. We see that very much here. We have equal shape. This is basically a rectangle. Okay, we have the exact same size and shape right here. Simply reducing the size of this and placing it somewhere like here is going to activate the negative space associated with this picture plane. So I recommend thinking in those lines. Also, don't forget, one thing I'm noticing is we need that subhead. We need that subhead in here somewhere. Don't see it. Yeah, definitely you got to get that subhead in place. Okay, all right. So those are my recommendations. If you have any questions at all, please let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. All right, great start. Thanks so much for sharing.